Hello, welcome to Soultopia TV. This is your co-host Michelle Welch with Roger Welch and our producer Matt Stoker.
Hello.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. How are you doing, Roger?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, running around.
Not much. Resting. You've been running around. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with you? You've been busy.
Oh, busy bee.
Days straight.
Boom. Yesterday at 6:30, they got here at the Carrollton location to start shooting a movie. I will not announce the name of that yet. But
you did post some pictures.
I posted a few pictures, yes. I took some pictures. Even got a picture with Kim Coles, who was one of the stars. I missed grabbing one. I walked out with him and talking to him. It was the guy from Martin, not Martin, but his buddy on the old Martin show.
Yeah.
He was here and some others. And actually, they had several local actors here and made it really cool. And they loved the store. They all had little piles of stuff sitting around the store to buy.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't come at all, but they were in my office, and I went in my office, and I was like, wow, it is so clean. Thank you to everyone at Soultopia for preparing the room, and Mary Gates, and don't want to leave anybody else out, but also to the crew of this wonderful movie that is going to be in big screens. It's not a TV movie. It is
No, it's a trilogy. So it is kind of a little bit scarier on the darker side.
It's not dark.
No, not dark. Not too dark. It's actually
what is dark anyway?
It'll be good. It's already signed up for a trilogy though, so there will be 3 of them coming out.
And it's history making. I will give you that hint. It is a history making. Either well, we already know it's history making from. What and who is in the movie? So that's the hint, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the writer, producer. I really wanted to see her, and I was.
She said when she gets done, she's coming to see you.
Yeah, we're best friends now.
Yeah.
Seriously, I already talked about that. I think. Yeah, we really got along. So you were up here till maybe.
It was about almost 10:30 when we finally got. We started at 6:30. I didn't quite get here at 6:30. Meredith did. She got here early.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you. And then and the reason we didn't get home till after 11 Sunday night because we had been at StarCon. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Christiana
down in Florida.
Owns it was on our show, our first Soultopia TV. When I keep saying, you guys, it's the rebranded So What, and we've told y'all why. So you worked really hard at StarCon too. You were vending and
hanging out with Chiro
Marchetti,
telling jokes.
That's been he's been on our show, been on Soul What, Matt. You met. He's been to Soultopia. And
that was like 5 years ago.
And he has he's probably the most prolific deck creator, I would think, and has had a lot of staying power. So we really think the world of him, and these two get up to mischief all the time.
We figured out all of the world's problems and how to solve it. We're just not telling anybody.
He's got the beauty, you've got the age.
I guess so.
All right. Well, so tonight we are going to talk about Make It Stop, dealing with spirits in your home or a home, and when to know or wonder if you have something going on in your home. And I'll tell you my answer. You always do. There's something in your home always. It's just what it is because you're in your home.
Couldn't it be more than a home? Just saying.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. So we're going to go over, and we want you guys to join in. If you have a question, Matt can help us watch. The best place, and I will get used to this, but Matt, if you don't mind telling them the best place to put their questions and or comments that we might sift through.
Sure. Yeah. The best place is probably, well, we're live right now on Facebook and YouTube. That's the Soultopia Facebook page and the Soultopia YouTube page. If you search Soultopia on YouTube, you'll find it. We'll be live right now. And we're monitoring both, but I think a lot of people are over on the Facebook page, and if you want to interact with other folks watching the show, that's probably the best place to find most people. But really, if you're on either platform, if you prefer YouTube, that's fine. Send a comment there. We're watching both. We should be able to see it.
And if you'd like to hit share so people can watch it right now, that'd be great. I do that for a lot of podcasts and shows that are on. I'll hit share. And so if we can get this out to more people, share now, but also maybe share the ads during the week, the advertisement. So let's get to it.
Right.
Roger's going to take us through quite a bit of this because he actually does do house clearings, whatever word y'all want to use, house cleansings, house blessings, right? And so we're going to talk about it. And we're very, very particular about how we do that. And so let's get started. Roger.
Well, one thing is you know, we've said home and house a couple of times, but even last night or yesterday, some of y'all have been up here at the store. You know that we have the security cameras around, but there's a TV monitor in the back of the store. And while they were working around, I was sitting back there. And part of the day, they actually had the lights off. And when the lights in the store kick off, the cameras turn from being, you know, full view, color, they turn to the black and white. And what's crazy is you can actually see a little bit more detail sometimes in that black and white. But in the back corner, back by the herbs, if y'all have been in the store, you know, in the corner there where the herbs are, there's a can or a it's herbs and the candles, but there's a camera right there in the corner. There's an orb that kept going up the aisle by the herbs, and it would stop and then come right back, and it would stop and it would go back up and stop. It just kept going back and forth for probably like 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
But at that moment in time was when it seemed like there was the most people actually here, because there were people coming and going all day. And they were all out in the store itself at that time. So, you know, I felt like it was kind of one of those little spirits that's running around here during the day or night and during the time. But it was not very happy that there was so much energy and things happening yesterday, or curious about it. It's what it more felt like. They were just more curious about it because it kept going back and forth, and it did it forever.
Pacing a little bit.
Yeah, pacing a little bit, watching things.
Did it seem our show's not about this, so but maybe another time, because some people, a lot of the experts and you are, in my opinion, definitely one of them in looking at, but maybe not as much an expert of looking at film and critiquing it as maybe some people who know. You can say if you think you're an expert in that. But sometimes they'll discount orbs. So
sometimes, yeah.
What made you think that this was a spirit versus maybe dust or something on the
Well, usually, and you can actually see the dust. Dust usually more flies back and forth, or, you know, it might zigzag a little bit. Where this actually went in a straight line, and you could literally see it stop, and then you could see it come right back.
Was
and
it
did it multiple times.
or-
It was very consistent, yes.
Okay.
And that's kind of the change of it. Where like if it's a dust or it's a bug crawling across the screen, it just has a different look than this.
Okay.
You know,
And here's the thing. We know they're there. No one has to gadget or anything like that. Doesn't have to convince me that spirits are always around us. That's why I wrote Spirits Unveiled. It's one of the things I say in it. So whether or not you think you have something in a store, in a hotel, in a house, outside around you, the answer is you do.
yeah.
And in my opinion, it's just what do you want to do about it? So sometimes these, whatever it is, can be a good thing or good entity, whatever you want to say, or being, and sometimes they can give us a hassle. So, and then also there is this, and I talk about in my book, and Roger, you're going to explain this to us more. And one of my chapters is spirit of the land, place, or thing. So the land could be a spirit being in and of itself, the land. But maybe it's taken on, that land has taken on the energy of things that were on the land, are on the land. And then a thing can also, that's been on the land, could take on a beingness to it or have something become attached to it. So there's multi-layers to it. And we have a really good example of that to kick us off. Do you want to give that one? We talked about?
Yeah. So we had actually, there's a couple really good ones even around Dallas here too, but this probably happened about 10 years ago or so. I was doing a reading for some people, and it was really, they knew they had a spirit around, a being around, but the one they had they actually had multiple ones. They
Right.
had one in the house, but then they had some that were outside. Okay, the one in the house really wasn't harmful, but she liked to prank on the husband. Little things like move his toothbrush maybe from the bathroom to the bedroom
I
type stuff.
remember
You know,
that,
it was
yeah.
never anything serious. It never like pushed him down the stairs or anything crazy. He would just do small things. You know, it was really more pranking on him. You know, nuisance type stuff, but never anything crazy, crazy. My suggestion was leave her alone. However, just because she used to live there, she was a protector of the house and the yard because it was, you know, and the way I described it to her, there was you know, basically not just a fence, but it had like a stone fence around the yard. And the other spirits were kind of scared of her and wouldn't across the stone fence into the yard or into the house.
Was the her human?
At one time, yes.
The, was she a human still, but like
Yes.
disincarnate? So
Disincarnate, yep.
Was she choosing to stay at that time?
She was. She was choosing to stay with the family because she felt like she was tied to the house, but as the protector of the house also. In the house, she didn't want to go. She wanted to stay there. She wanted to stay with the land, the house, and everything. The yard, basically. Let's put it that way. Because
And
this
was
is
she
actually
protecting
very
the-
large.
Was she protecting the people in the home a little bit too? at
She
that time?
was. She was. She was keeping the other spirits because this was actually not just say a neighborhood house. Okay, this is more this was more of a kind of a farm. So it was quite a few acres of land, and this had been a farm for, you know, over 100 years even.
Okay.
You know, this is one of those original Texas farms. You know, several hundred acres.
So what happened when you got out on the? Did you go in the house first or the land?
I didn't actually. I got there and we just kind of talked about it, and I did a couple of readings for them, really, because what my suggestion was is let's don't actually get rid of the lady, and you try to clear the house out. You know, we can, you know, maybe do like some spiritual blessing type things. You know, instead of burning black candles, let's burn a couple of white candle
We'll
type
talk.
things,
We'll
right?
hopefully get time to talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit.
Um,
What to use, but
So, but you know, let's actually make her a little happier too. You know, because she, you know, kind of as a offering to her and keep her there, because she kept the other people. However, they felt like they wanted their house cleared of everything, and they had a ghost hunting crew
before you, right?
before. Well, no, this is after me. Come
Yeah.
out
Okay, I didn't know.
after me, and they were actually. I said ghost hunting crew. It really wasn't. It was some couple of people that were wanting to get into it that really didn't understand and know,
Right.
and really have the connection to things. And they went out with just a bunch of sage, and they were just, you know, firing off everything.
Right.
And they weren't doing the proper cleansing methods or the blessings and things like that. So, long story short, they did clear the lady of the house.
Okay.
However, they didn't clear the land, and they also didn't set up the protection around the house. So now what happens is the spirits where the lady was protecting the house herself, now all of a sudden the other spirits are coming into the home.
Did
They're
you go
from the
back
land.
again?
I never went back.
Okay. I had that story a little bit wrong then. So let's talk about the land.
Mm-hmm.
So you determined that the land was. Did it have a beingness of itself?
It did, because at that point in time, I mean, that land had been, it had been slave land. It also had Native Americans living on it at times. It had been cleared off. So they had a lot of things going
A
on
slave
there.
cemetery.
At a slave cemetery, yep. They had a slave cemetery there. And there was a slave cemetery, and then there were actually the old homesteaders cemetery. So it actually had two cemeteries on it.
So this wasn't all just stuff that you channeled or picked up on. There's
No, it was actually
historical facts. to this.
historical facts to this land, yeah. Because
Okay.
this, like I said, goes back, you know, 150, you know, years or so, 140,
Okay,
150.
so
Yeah.
sorry, I'm interrupting, but I'm trying to get to. So the land had things happen on it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's when people make some mistakes, because if you go out on the land and then you're trying to run off Native Americans again that have already been run off land and massacred in some areas, and you are trying to clear a cemetery that slaves, then this is something that probably is going to make these spirits not happy, I would assume.
You would be correct about that.
Okay.
It wouldn't make us very happy either. If somebody's
Exactly.
running us out of our house.
Or off our land.
Yep.
And so, so you didn't go back, but
No.
what would you do about that? Because to me, that means that's a time to honor the land and bless those who are on the land and give them, maybe make an altar to them or leave things for them to honor them.
I think that's exactly a great way to do it. You probably would want to, instead of let's sage the house out, what I'd probably do would be more of a spiritual type cleanse where maybe you're burning some white candles, maybe some Palo Santo instead of sage, something that's more ritual type. And then I would do some offerings, and I would set up maybe some offerings, and you could easily, since we're talking about it being more outside, set them up outside too. You could also use crystals within that, use them, for like maybe black tourmaline, which I've got sitting right over there. You could do that around the house, in the four corners of the house on the outside, which would help set up some protection grids around it.
Put the black tourmaline.
Don't
right
see it over there.
there.
Nope, don't see it over there.
Nope.
Pick
Okay,
it up
I'll
and
hold
show
it up.
it.
Here we go. This
Yeah,
is black
just like-
tourmaline or sorrel. Okay.
So things like that would be really well. But I think if you did I grabbed this because we're talking about it. This is this massive beast of a candle. This is actually a 14-day candle. What's nice about these are like long-term candles. This being a white, you definitely use this with like a spiritual type setup.
Would you call that a blessing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
blessing the house.
I would do more of the blessing of the house versus just trying to cleanse the house out, clearing out with sage and things like that. And, we have different types of oils that you could use in here. And I'd probably use something a little bit more angelic.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. And if anyone has any questions of Roger, feel free to chime in from the audience. And hi, everyone, for joining us. Let's see. So let's talk about a blessing first.
Okay.
So let's say it's a new home, you're building a home, or at whatever point you want to bless the home. Do you do that? Or do you tell people how to do that? And if so, would you tell us and give us a little information on that?
I have done a few of those. One, even if it's a new home, a lot of times you want to kind of go in and feel the energy of it. Now, because it being a new home you're building, think about it like that. You still had a lot of people there, the contractors working in and out of the house, things like that. So typically on a new home, that is a good time to go in and actually do a cleansing with sage or whatever you're using. For me, I might burn a little bit of light sage, and I'll probably use something more like a blue sage versus a white sage. So that's the grandmother sage. And so I'd probably do the blue sage versus the white sage. But also I would take in, I usually take my singing bowls, or a couple of them. I don't take all of them, but I'll take a couple of the singing bowls, and I'll actually go through and walk through the house and play the singing bowls. Okay. And then I'll actually use some of the sprays, especially if it's a larger house, because some of the larger houses here in Dallas will even have a sprinkler system, so you can't burn a whole lot of things like that. But
Apartments, if you live in an apartment, just know you're not supposed to use candles. You're not supposed to, all of those standard leases. So you should be using sprays and singing bowls or things like that. So what I'm trying to get to too, Roger, is for people to know when a lot of people will jump immediately to the thinking, let's get rid of it because maybe they've waited so long and it's got to go away. And the worst possible case scenario, and I think we've explained already how that might not be the wisest thing. So it is good to consult someone like Roger if you don't know. And also just determine, because if you come in like just moving energy around, and you don't know what you're doing, it can be reckless. Very reckless, in my opinion. Right?
it could be.
So and in my opinion, there's all types of beings that can be there. It's not just ghost. So what do we do then? And Leslie says, if a spirit is accidentally run out, is there a way to invite them back? There is this thing that I listened to a show where they had an expert on, and it's a school of thought where you have to invite something into your home. And I'll tell you right away, I do not agree with that. But is there a way that you might invite them back?
I would set up an altar for that person.
Well, would you
or
want
spirit.
to though?
Well, that's
she said accidentally.
If you accidentally, yes.
So I think she's implying,
So,
how would you not do it?
right. So I would think. Wait, repeat that.
Is there, if you had a spirit and you get rid of it,
Mhm.
is there a way that you could accidentally bring it back? And she said, invite them back. Accidentally, though. It's Leslie.
No, it says if your spirit is accidentally run out.
Oh.
I was like, wait.
Well, we can answer both of them.
Okay.
Answer the first one. If you
Okay.
accidentally run it out.
I think what you would want to do is set up an altar space for that with offerings and actually invite them to come back.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's the best way. Now, it doesn't always guarantee. You may have pissed them off because you ran them out. They may not understand you accidentally ran them out. But what I would do is apologize, start with that. I would run through set up a little altar with offerings on that altar space for them.
And with that, you have to kind of know what kind of spirit you're dealing with, because an offering to one will not be an offering to another. It may actually be an insult to another.
Correct.
Even your ancestors, an offering of alcohol to one might not be great. An offering of alcohol or whiskey to another might be a great thing. So let's answer it the opposite way.
Okay.
So let's say you accidentally ran out, or you intentionally got rid of a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be a way that you might accidentally or inadvertently bring it back in?
Ooh, well, let's say
I'd
you
say yes.
got rid of it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you weren't, let's say you're not continuing. It's kind of like maintenance, right? If you're not continually keeping up your maintenance of your cleansing of the home, let's say you did it once and you haven't done it in a couple of years. Yeah, you've kind of dropped your guard a little bit, and you could let it come back in.
So, you want to read that, Roger, from Leslie?
I was away from home. Kind spirit was here when I left. Had been saged away by the time I got home.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's talk a little bit, and I wanted to say that we're not going to go off into telling everyone how to sage. Roger has a video on the Soultopia YouTube. It's back a ways, but it's an extremely good video where he walks you through exactly how to clear a house, where to start, and all that. We don't have time to go into all that tonight, but I would say if it was accidentally saged away, you've already answered that. I think you can talk to spirits. I know you can talk to spirits exactly like you talk to a friend. And depending on what type of that spirit is, I agree. Especially, I talk about, there's a whole chapter on elementals in my book. My friend Jen Sankey did a great speech this weekend on that. They're very real. So same with, they can get offended very easily. So it just depends, Leslie, on what kind. But sage briefly, Roger, I believe that energy never goes away, it just changes form. Is sage in and of itself does it transmute the energy? Because I feel like sometimes people just shove it out there, they get it out their front door, but it's still lingering there. Is it thought that sage does the transmutation process and changes the form of that energy? Or have you just cleared your home potentially, and then it's just hanging out at your front door?
I think it's really exactly that. It's just you're pushing it out of the house. It's not really transmutating it or anything like
Transmuting
that.
it?
Transmuting it at all. It's just pushing it out of the house. And which is why, you go through and you say, open up a window or door and kind of let it go. Because it's not changing that energy around or anything. It's just pushing it on to somewhere else.
So you would agree with that there
I would
needs to
think
be,
so.
okay. Because I think some people think the sage itself may, and it's not all intention. A lot of things are intention, but it's combined with really what does this herb, which is a living thing also with its own properties, what does it do and what are its intentions? And I think you even need to bless and pay honor to the herbs. So it's multi-layered and very serious. And just so everyone knows our stance on this, anything you're using, um, there were blessings in the Judaic, in Islamic, in Christian, in pagan, in Native American, in Siberia, you name it. There have been blessings and clearings.
Yeah.
So you want to probably work with or call on somebody that works with things they know and that they are connected to. That's a whole nother show that we've had of when you don't want to appropriate or use certain things inappropriately, right? Okay, the word appropriate's in there. So what is appropriate and ethical? And Roger, I believe, does that very much. So you've done, you use crystals too.
Correct.
To grid houses. What were you talking about gridding houses?
Well, when I go to a home, I use a couple of different crystals in the bedrooms. A lot of times, especially over the over the doorways or close to the doorways, I'll use like little rose quartz pieces and to set there, because rose quartz, it generates love. It's not about bringing love into oneself, but it's also about love for oneself.
Okay.
Okay. So I like to use rose quartz there because it does generate more love, and that kind of love feelings, things like that. I usually will set little crystals, quartz crystals, on the windowsills.
Yep.
Okay, because that actually works as a generator, I feel like, and it actually creates, a more cohesive protection around the house.
Okay.
Okay. Black tourmaline, like I said, around the openings, your doorways, basically, corners of the home, things like that. Citrune's always good on the furthest back left corner of the home, because that generates a flow of positive, good energy around the home.
Okay.
Selenite in the bedrooms helps with peaceful sleep. So does amethyst, and so does Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt, I don't usually do that as much. Sometimes I'll throw it in there, but definitely the selenite. I'll take little pieces of selenite and set in the bedrooms for generating of more peaceful sleep for people.
And I'm kind of interviewing you, but I think it's really important. Do you tap into let's get to the specific that we were talking about, spirits in a home. So, first of all, I'm telling you, everyone has spirits in the home. So, of some sort, you do.
Yeah.
So you can try and clear all that out, but back to Leslie's thing, I don't think it's as difficult to bring them back as people think. It just depends on the spirit. But sometimes that's why I went to the inadvertently bringing a spirit back in, because sometimes we walk in with the spirit, we bring it back in, it's globbed onto us, kind of a hitchhiking on us, like a tick on a dog, right? I was going to say a tick on a flea.
Tick on a hound?
And then
Tick on a
there
hound,
would
isn't
be...
that the term?
There would be...
I mean, I don't think they're going to be on a flea, so...
Yeah, I'm joking. But there actually was a lady that she does come still, and she buys Roger Sage spray and sprays her teenage boys every time they came home from... By now, they probably graduated. They came home from junior high and high school, and she came all the time to refill her sage bottle because of what they'd bring home from high school.
Yep.
And she said it also smelled good, so she'd chase them down the hall spraying them with it. But I think it's really, really important to know what type of spirit you're talking about. Now, you can stir up things. Let me say a couple things, and Roger, jump in. First of all, we live in an area that there are, a lot of people may not know this. If you live in, guess what? Frisco, Texas, which we talked about last week, but in Frisco, there are many of the houses are built on either a trail of tears of sort, and this is historical, not channeled information, or actually even with this trail of tears, there are Native American burial grounds. Yep. This is in Frisco, and we've worked with many houses where, again, we didn't go in and run the spirit out of the house, but the spirits will progressively get more irritated with you if you're not honoring them because you're on their land. And a lot of the people who've come to me as clients that have that, and they still do. I had one maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe right before we left town a week ago, that lives in that area. And it's oftentimes your teenagers and your dogs or your children that will be aware of it before you. And Lexi, thank you. Roger's sage spray is so amazing. It really is. It's award-winning, like his Florida water. We use it often when we can't burn sage.
Yeah.
And think about your cars. You know, you can have spirits there too. So that's one thing. Roger, I have been talking to you about the fact that during the snow apocalypse in Texas, many of you know, our foundation just in Texas, a lot of the foundations are horrible. So you have foundation problems, and we had to basically open up, and they had to jackhammer into our land, which is on a golf course.
Yeah.
And so I knew immediately that we had not asked the spirits of that land properly, and I believe they were elementals for the most part. Anywhere is, thank you, Anthony, you're right. That's true. Anywhere is indigenous land. It is very, very documented, and maybe it is documented everywhere. This in Frisco, how much this one, and I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's El Dorado Road, and a couple miles north of that, it's extremely, maybe 10 miles. It's where they're building the PGA national headquarters,
Yes,
actually.
all that is.
Which is very interesting. Is documented that that is a literally like a trail. It was a very strong area of massacres, and so is everywhere, but it's documented. And so there's a lot of activity out there. Thank you, Anthony. That's what I want to say about that, because it's so many people who come from those, and they're telling us they have activity in their home, and I immediately try to figure out if that's what it is. And then what was I saying? And Anthony is correct on that, but
The spirits in your home.
Yeah.
The foundation.
so the foundation, thank you. The foundation, jackhammering a lot. So the foundation is not fixed. So not happy about that. But I keep telling Roger, there are spirits in the wall. I can hear them. And they are not just one. There's quite a number of them, and they're loud. And Roger doesn't notice them as much as I do. I believe the dogs do, especially Loki, one of our Frenchies, and they're very vocal. And I think there's numerous kinds. So before they what do you call that? Not reupholstered. What's the word? With your walls. What's it called?
Re-drywall?
Re-drywalled. Before they did that, Roger said he cleared. And I believe him. But they're still there. And so
So it's probably in the land, not in the house.
It's in both, in my opinion. So they're up in the walls, but they came from the land, and they are in our house for sure.
Yeah.
And so Roger is going to redo that. Kelly says, I've been told, and I can't see it now.
They're like visiting and then leave.
What?
They like to visit and then leave.
Which they?
The
Some
spirits.
do. Some visit and some stay.
Spirits drop by, like visiting and then leave.
I would agree with that, but it's been my experience. There's many that stay. Here's the next question: Are they all going to go away? And my answer is no. So what do you think, Roger?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that a lot of times they'll get into a spot, and it's kind of like us. They get into a spot and they get all comfortable with it, and they'll just stick around.
For me, it's also, and could be like multi-layer. So no, this isn't a book on it. So we're not telling you all the information. I can't just get it all out because I'm looking at the time. It goes by so fast. But a lot of knowledge, if you want to read Spirits Unveiled, a lot of knowledge on the topic of what kind of spirits. What if you have something quite insidious in your house? Let's just go there. Again, we've had one, and I call her a predatory spirit. I think they're after something. They have a prey. Sometimes you have to get rid of the meat to make the tiger go away. What if you can't, and they're after something in your home, and they genuinely are, i.e., she was after Roger 100% and was trying to harm him with his diabetes. I know it. And I've chased her up and down the stairs several times. I think she's finally gone. But what do you think about that, Roger?
Well, I agree with Anthony. Is burn it to the ground.
Yeah, with you in it.
Yeah, we'll just throw a big pile of sage in there and just start burning,
Actually, I
burning.
volunteer. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
But
I think that would definitely be one of those. I think now you're getting into that where you're really doing more of that saging with white sage or the dragon's blood sage, and then cleansing this area also with like a Palo Santo or something like that. I think that's when you start bringing out, especially when you get the feeling this is not good for me or my family or my home. So now, instead of doing more of a blessing or anything like that or an offering, now you're lighting everything up and burning it out.
so my 2 cents is I would do an analysis. I would take time, and let's use another example of someone's home. They say something's going on. We feel like there's something in our home. I would do an analysis. Who's in the home? What have they been going through? Has anything been done recently to the home? Potentially, are the people in the home bringing things in either intentionally or unintentionally? You do not have to invite spirits in your home. I do not agree with people who say that. You don't have to say you're welcome and invite them in intentionally. That comes from some religious beliefs, and that has not been my experience. Can you invite them in? Yes. Can they come in without an invitation? Yes. I know, because they have. I know it from me and other people. And so, but maybe are you unintentionally? So there's a step-by-step diagnosis I do, and Roger and I do investigation. Thank you. And you step-by-step, you interview, and you almost, like a case, a civil case, you almost want to interview the people in the home separately and ask them, what's going on? What do you think's going on? What's been going on in your life? What's been going on in that you're doing? It doesn't mean they're messing with things that are dark or black, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying just sometimes you get to the root of it, and maybe they have inadvertently brought something in the house or intentionally brought something in the house. I will say this about portals too. There are portals, but we are portals. People are portals. So people love to do, especially these TV shows, which I don't care for, any of them really, to be honest. They will make it so sensational. Can it really be sensational? Absolutely, it can. But I don't think that goes back to whatever the people in the home and the spirit that you're dealing with, it's imperative that you get information on that. Because if somebody just from the outside is just coming in and they're just clearing and doing all those things, they don't have any idea which spirit being they're dealing with, and who are we as humans to think we're above other spirit beings. We're not. And to what I think may be negative, an elemental may not think that because they don't have a moral compass. So that's my book, Spirits Unveiled. I feel very strongly about it, and it really irritates me when people are just haphazardly clearing and doing things in homes that before they investigate, or, as Anthony's word, or interview the witnesses,
That's right.
people who are there. Then I also talk to the spirits in the home because I want to know. So that's why I say engage before you sage. How do you feel about that?
I agree with that for sure, because we've talked about that for a lot of time now. Is that you do need to know what's going on around, who's there. Is it really a nuisance? Is it trying to get your attention for some reason? Because it could be trying to get your attention for a particular reason, to give you a warning, to give you information or something like that too.
Or they just want to be heard. Now, are there big bad scary things? Yes, there are. I mean, there absolutely are. Back to the predatory spirit. She meant us no good, for sure. She laughed at me like I was like, leave my home. I bind you. Leave my home. Let's do all the things that, let's say the Lord's Prayer. I'm not making fun of it, but no, it doesn't work with her. So love that saying, engage before you sage. Thank you.
And we have shirts with that on it too.
I do, yeah. So, but if you knocked on somebody's door, if Anthony comes knocking on Matt's door, Matt just like gets this sage and just sprays her and blows it all on her face. And she's like, "Hey, mate, I just wanted, how'd you say it? Hey, mate, I just wanted to give you a message, and you just were really rude. I was just telling you that you've got mail out there. Come check it." It's just because I just always say that spirits are people too, but they're not all people. Roger.
Do antiques and family heirlooms bring spirits with them? Do they draw you to them? Yes, they can. That's why a lot of times, if you go to an antique stores, you can actually feel. Sometimes you can feel things as very much desperation. You can feel a lot of heavy energy in there. You have problems in antique stores a lot of times, don't you?
I have problems with, so does Billy Bob Thornton. And I always I remember this because I thought, well, is he just weird? And I thought, no, I do too. So antique stores, pawn shops, and vintage clothing stores. Very popular to go to vintage clothing stores, very popular to, but even clothing, of course, it comes from somewhere, right? So it's got energy on it. But people are very attached to their clothes, certain clothes, and you just washing them is not going to clear the energy that it had for years and years of somebody wearing their favorite golf shirt off of it. And so I now that I know how to transmute energy better, I am not as hesitant to not go because I realize I can change the form of that energy. But yes, antique stores and Billy Bob Thornton, he just was like, it was when he was dating Angelina Jolie, and I remember watching him. He was on a bunch of shows, and that's a thing about him, that he can't stand them. And now I know, or whether he knows it or not, he's very sensitive to those energies that are on the antiques and on old clothing. And it's not being snobby that I have to have everything new, and can you clear them? You can, but it's some strong energy. We have my hairdresser there's another hairdresser there who has this embroidery piece that she's been told by quite a few people that it's extremely bad luck. People have died, and it's in a storage unit. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I want it. And I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I want it. I at least want to come in contact with it to see what energy I can pick up from it. And there's actually two pieces to it, and I've told Roger about it. So if you bring that into a home, it's a thing, but it had a lot of energy. Two of the ancestors worked on these pieces together every single day, and there's actually two pieces, and they are quote unquote haunted or cursed, very much so. And why would I want that? Because I like to learn and I'm not reckless about it. People can think I'm reckless. I'm not reckless at all. And I know a lot more about spirits than I say because I've dealt with them my whole life. And I have gotten accustomed to figuring out what kind of energy it is and what kind it isn't. And that's why I don't mean to be rude about the TV shows. I know they have to sensationalize things, but it's not always this aha moment and you solved it in an instant. And I'm sure some of them, just like this show, you kind of judge it because you think, okay, they didn't cover everything, or they didn't say it right. They edit things out. So it's not necessarily the people on the shows that they don't know things, but there's a lot of layers to it.
Right.
So did you have some other things that I'm trying to make sure we really get across? I think the first step is just don't assume. Don't assume everything is negative. People go to that very quickly. They go to that it's cursed. And that interview or investigation process is very important. And I think not running things off, that it's theirs, right? Okay, so.
And one thing is, and I know we're getting close on time, but if you question whether this is actual fact, real or not, I would challenge you to go and try it out, maybe somewhere like the Goatman Bridge.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, the land can't hold spirits. The whole land can't do this or that. Go out to somewhere where it really is heavy, where a lot of really bad things have happened, and just go out and sit for a minute and just see what you feel. I guarantee you feel it, especially out there at the Goatman Bridge.
Right. And don't mock the spirits. Don't try to agitate the spirits. Zach, whatever your name is, who lives in Vegas now and has that museum, I know you're really successful. Congratulations, but that is wrong.
Yeah.
Do not agitate spirits. It is not a good thing to do. And I don't respect those who do at all. There you have it. Live. My name's Michelle Welch. Seriously, if you really know spirits, you don't want to agitate them. You either want to honor them and say thank you for, and I'm sorry for what's happened that we've done to you. And it's not just Native Americans. It could be aliens, beings in your home. I have one. His name's Roger. And but it's very wrong to agitate something just so you can get a rise out of it. And you don't want to do that either because, quite frankly, they may not ever leave you alone. And they could cause you a lot of damage. And so, because remember, their frequency is different than ours. And if you're not in alignment with that and you have very different moral compass and ethics, they don't have our ethics. So here we are judging that they're negative when maybe in their spirit beingness, that's not a negative thing.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Okay.
And that's, kind of if you agitate them, they can easily get attached to somebody.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of videos on this. We've jumped around as we always do. And I just decided we're not making fun of my ADHD anymore. So there we have it.
Okay.
I've invited that in, and I'm not inviting that spirit in anymore. I struggle with it. Really, I really do. I struggle really hard. So not getting down to anybody, but it's just something I'm not. I came to that realization this weekend, right?
Yep.
We're not going to do that.
So
and
let's talk about our products of the week then.
Let's do it. Yeah. So if we jump around, I'm sorry.
It's
right.
not a big deal. So Matt and I figured out how to use this little down camera thing over here.
Did you say this damn camera?
Down.
Down camera. Okay.
In the down as in the directions.
Yeah, I love it.
As in down under.
What do we have?
So this week our products of the week first is the Satya Dragon's Blood incense.
Right.
Those are buy one get one free.
That's really popular, right?
Yeah, super popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, super popular one.
It's got a lot of sweetness. What is that good for, really quick?
Yeah, this was really good because you can use it, yes, for cleansing and clearing and things like that. But actually, what I like to use it for also is love stuff. If you're like trying to manifest some love into your life, whether it's self-love or bringing somebody, a new flame in, I think it's a great one to use for that too.
Okay.
Second is the Raphael bracelet. Isn't that what I see over there?
You do.
Yeah. So what about that?
So Raphael is the archangel for healing and the patron archangel of travel. So it's very good. And I believe that we have malachite on that. All of our archangel bracelets have hematite. As you can see, it says, he who helps. Anything for healing is going to be Raphael. And again, like I said, there's the archangels are also patron archangels, just like you have the patron saints, and that would be for travel. So Raphael's great for that. Raphael's one of the 4 archangels that is mentioned by the 3 most populous religions, 3 or 4, and believed in by all of them, but they believe that Raphael does different things.
Yes.
So you may get different directions from different people for the correspondences, but most all of them do agree about the healing for Raphael.
So this week, the Raphael bracelet is 20% off.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you can come in, get one of those. You get 20% off on the Raphael bracelets.
And that malachite is actually really good malachite. Sometimes it's a little synthetic. This is a good malachite, and we try to let you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of look at it because there are 2 different bead forms of malachite, just so you guys know. But they both actually consist of malachite. One's a little heavier. One is actually more of a malachite, what you would consider malachite, like the crystal, like the stone, right? The other, though, is actually they take the dust and they grind it down and put it in with a resin, which makes it a little bit more consistent for malachite. You don't get as much of the rough texture to the...
But it's not organite.
No, but it's not organite.
I call organite the baloney of crystals.
No.
Just pissed off some more people right there.
Yes, you do.
But it is. I mean, can it work? Yeah. But
Yeah.
is it like kind of scraping up all the stuff and putting it together? The bologna of crystals.
Yeah.
And then the crystal of the
Crystal of the week is a stropholite.
Okay, so a stropholite is, I love it. And this, man, that looks really dark. It doesn't look blue,
You
but
can
it's
see
a
some of the flash
navy
in
blue
there.
with flash in it. And you can read all of our cards and all of our definitions for crystals come from me and Roger. They are not taken from all the many books. And we've talked about that before.
Yep.
One of the things I do want to mention is a lot of people have told us that people aren't aware of the fact that I do certify people on crystals. In my first crystal certification class, you learn a lot of what we try to talk about on here about crystals, and you also learn to identify 100 crystals in the first, but that's like the bonus part of the test at the end. So it's a very good certification class, and they've encouraged us to tell people how much we do have classes, because we do promote a lot of other people's classes and also and certifications. In that crystal certification, you are certified a crystal level 1 healer. I do also have level 2, but crystal healer. But you're also going to be not only just know a lot about crystals, but you're going to learn a lot about the geology and the science behind the crystals and why they work and what their properties are. So, and a lot of other classes that a lot of times people don't know that we have a lot of, just to lack of a better word, a lot of knowledge that we have to teach.
Yeah.
So,
and plus this week we have your regular mediumship class by Zoom on Wednesday night at 7:30, and we have it in person in the Carrollton location on Thursday. And you can actually get tickets for both of those on soultopia.simpletix.com, and it's soultopia.simpletix.com, and you get tickets right there.
and where can they find the classes that are recorded?
We are actually, I created a ticket site for that. However, it did not get loaded properly, so we have got to take the time and reload those.
Okay. So,
because it is totally not done right.
okay. Well, I
So,
like that honesty. We have really good classes online, a tarot class,
but
all of our
we're
offerings.
actually, we have a lot of recordings. In what was supposed to happen was we were supposed to be able to have a separate, like that one, the Soultopia Simple Ticks, but it was for recorded classes where you could go in, click it, buy it, and it automatically got emailed to you.
Okay.
However, they put the links in the wrong place. So it doesn't work that way. It still did not work the way it was supposed to.
It's okay. Perfect timing, divine timing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do we get hold of you, Roger, for someone who wants you to come assess their home or their, for like my doctor's office, that they know that there are 2 spirits in there and there aren't.
Yeah.
But another thing really quick, they're not always old.
No.
Places that have spirits are not always old. And people who come to you in spirits are not always Victorian times. Just so we dispel that too. So I don't want to offend any other group tonight, but there is a group that teaches that, and that's not correct.
Yeah.
So, Roger, where do we get a hold of you if somebody wants you to come assess their house for either a blessing or a clearing? And you do a lot of these. So where?
So 2 easy ways. One, you can email me directly, which is roger@soultopia.guru is my email. It's ROGER@SOULTOPIA.GURU. If you go to our website, mysoultopia.com, you'll see a little contact thing in the bottom. You can actually click that, contact us, and you can put your information there too. If you do that, it actually goes to my email also.
Or also call, because sometimes what people wonder, because you're on there to get readings. Roger reads, I read.
Or parties.
Yeah. So
somebody actually contacted us today about doing a wedding party.
good. So you could ask, if you're confused, do I need a reading or do I need him to come to the home? Just contact us and we'll answer that. He'll be able to answer that question for you. Or if the person who gets the message can't, we will make sure they get it to Roger to answer it, because he does do a lot of homes here in the Dallas area.
Correct.
He's very good at it and very ethical for doing that. So we've gone through a lot of it fast,
Yes.
right?
It's got there's a lot of details to it, a lot of things. There's a lot of tools out there to use, and the reason there's so many tools is because there's so many different options, and different ways to handle it too, and not every situation is the same. You got to
Correct.
think about it like that. Not every situation is the same, so you got to kind of look at it like you were talking about, investigate it, see what's really happening, why it's happening, and then pick the right tools to do the job.
Right. And if there's ever something that we cannot do or we feel we're not qualified to do, we will point you in the direction of someone who can. If we are not, if we think you need another type of energy worker or someone else to clear your house, we are or medium. We will always do that
Yeah.
too, and we have lots of people to refer you to.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right,
Okay.
is our time up?
Our time is up tonight. We've told you guys how to reach us. We've told you guys about our classes, Michelle's classes for the week. And definitely watch your emails because we sent a thing out today about our movie, and that we, kind of a little surprise or reward in there because of us doing the movie.
We didn't
Yes,
do a
good.
giveaway tonight. We got to do it really fast.
Oh, then you better figure it out
And
real
here
fast.
I go. You didn't start the outro yet, music, did you, Matt?
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, yay. Okay, so what's the question? The question is what?
I didn't know.
Okay. Well, the question then, Matt, is what?
Let's say that the question is.
How about what two types of sages? Did we name two different types of sages
You did.
during the episode?
Okay.
Name the two types of sages that we actually talked about tonight. How about
And
that?
Also,
And-
don't they have now a week to answer? Didn't we change that rule to where they have longer? They don't
Yep.
end. So
till the end of the week.
how do they do that?
And actually, making the comment
Sorry.
right here. What?
We're working on it.
And we do a random draw on this for the correct answers. And this actually of sages.
And to win, don't they need to
did.
share and all
We
that? Or is
talk
that
about-
different?
Yes, please share it, guys, so we get it out there and get it out. Comment. I put comment here so you know. Put comment here so we can pick the winner. So we can do a random pick, okay? Yes,
And-
some of y'all got it. Better put it in the right place here so we can
Because-
actually go through and randomly pick
And
it
then
out.
we have a random selector that selects the.
And that random selector is not Michelle.
No, it's not. Actually, even in my classes, I do that wheel from. It's called Tiny
Tiny
Details
Decision-
or
Tiny-
Tiny Decisions.
Tiny decisions, yeah.
So that makes a little wheel to spin.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yep,
So
definitely.
now you can say.
All right. Okay, guys. So I think we got y'all covered over for an hour. And so please join us next week
For live readings.
for live readings. When we see that post come up, if you have a question that you want a live reading or anything, you can put it there, but you can also join us here and we'll pop it on the screen and we'll do readings for you. So guys, be safe this week and join us next week and we'll see you then.
Good night.
Good night.